Greetings and welcome. This is Psychic Medium Roberto, and I truly hope you are doing well. Trigger warning: the subject matter is of a mature nature and deals with true crime events. Disclaimer: all cases are treated as alleged until proven in the court of law. In today's episode, I'm looking at the missing persons case. It's approximately almost a year since Zoe Penrod has gone missing, and the circumstances around her passing, her going missing, is that on December the 31st, in this time zone here, where we see the 43-7, 34-7, 16-7, and 7, Zoe, who unfortunately had been dealing with postpartum depression, according to reports and hospitals, and was sent home due to a lack of beds. And I can tell you, and I'm sure you can agree, those that know about this kind of thing, particularly around mental health, and that, this postpartum depression is very real. It is very real. And unfortunately, new moms do deal with it. And some can deal with it, some can get through with it, and some can't. It's one of those unfortunate things. And it's very heartbreaking. But what concerns me the most is when someone's diagnosis or circumstance gets used against them, is where we take issue, right? And Zoe, I believe she's got like 3 kids in total. And when we look at her date of birth, so let's just look at the role players. We got Zoe's date of birth here, born on March 18, 1984. And I don't know if this is her fiance's date of birth. By all accounts, it seems like it, but I'm not going to rely on it heavily, but I do have it here. The primary focus of this reading is to understand who Zoe is, the 72-hour scan of her disappearance, and then we're going to do a 369 on the 72-hour scan where she disappears. And there's reports saying that there's video footage of her walking around in the morning, according to the husband, dazed and confused in a sense, right? So what can we learn from Zoe's date of birth in relation to the information that we know? Now, if I had to just do a global look at her date of birth, she's got very good numbers here. I'm not seeing any out-and-out numbers that would suggest issues. The 22-4 in her date of birth. Now, when we're talking about fours have the propensity to bring around depression, feeling a bit blue, feeling a bit down. Now, when we go into the +3, we do see a 3+3 conflict here. And I would say that this conflict in the main would have affected her in childhood rather than in adulthood. So I'm not going to get too much into that. What I am going to say is, based on her numbers here, now, when we hear about someone that has more than one child or 2 or 3 kids, these numbers here in her +6, 49, 13, 4, all the 4s here, this speaks about children, parenting children. And, if we look at this picture here, for example, she's full of smiles, she's got kids, she's had kids before the current child that allegedly triggered off this series of depression. by all accounts, she has soft numbers. She even has numbers where, like, for example, the 12-3, the 33 speaks about motherhood, the homemaker. 33 speaks about the matriarch. Okay? So in other words, what I'm seeing here on the level, there aren't out and out numbers here that would suggest to me there's issues of the nature that we are currently facing with in the case of Zoe. Now again, I'll just say, I did some research trying to get the fiance's date of birth. Now, if this is his date of birth, I'm just, as a general overview, it's interesting in both of them, right? So, for example, Zoe has a 40, outcome 4, which in itself is quite a dominant masculine energy. And it's no issue to see it in a woman. It's quite fine. There's no issues there. But what I'm pointing out, 44, if we look at it on one hand, can speak about fatherhood. Now, if this is David's date of birth, we see 20, outcome 2, which ironically speaks about motherhood. So what I'm seeing in their profiles is a juxtaposition of roles in energy, which is quite interesting. The 13-4 in David, in combination with the 6s, when you're dealing with someone that is unstable, going through a bad time, it takes people with patience. It takes people with care. You almost have to be a caretaker yourself to help people in that situation, or at least have the propensity to be able to do so. Now, of course, one can argue from a spousal point of view, yes, they're committed, they'll help each other. When we start getting deeper, someone that has a 13-4 and 6s in combination in what would arguably be a very stressful pressure cooker test situation, in my opinion, the 13-4s and the 6s can lose patience very quickly. They can get agitated very quickly with the 6s and can be aggressive with the 6s as well. That's in the negative. So, and the reason why I point this out is the 3 days in which the event takes place, the 72-hour scan, including the 3 days leading up to the 72-hour scan, there are many, many emotional markers. The 33 on December the 27th, outbursts. December 28, 28-10-1, big arguments. December 28, 40, outcome 4. Now, in December the 30th, a woman is having an outburst. On December the 28th, a male is suppressing his anger or frustration. On December the 29th, we see now that hidden 33 is now out in the open. So there is distress in the air. So this is to understand, of course, we can agree that someone in this situation, there will be high tension, high pressure, yes. I'm pointing it out to you. 30, outcome 3, more outbursts the day before she goes missing. Now, where previously in the 3 days build-up, we see the 33 was hidden, the 40, outcome 4 was hidden. So in other words, one can argue everyone is doing their best to accommodate the situation. So in other words, when the emotions are hidden, we are getting on with the job. But December 29, as we approach D-Day, the emotions start overwhelming the situation. The 30, outcome 3 comes out. We see the conflict, 12-3-33. We see the conflict coming through. 3 plus 21, 3. We're seeing outbursts, 40, outcome 4. The male can't handle this either, the husband. When I first looked at this, I'm getting a lot of intimate numbers. Of course, there would be, it's close contact, quarters, husband, fiance, with wife, fiance, in a home, in a homely situation. We have, I beg your pardon, we have the conflict the day before, and in the zone that she goes missing, now we're seeing another conflict, 16, 7 plus 7. So now why is there a 7-7 conflict? Now, when we're dealing with marriage, union, we bring in the number 7, because 34-7 in the positive aspect, 34-7 is the positive aspect of marriage. Now, one can argue during this distressful time, marriage is on the brink. 43-7 is the reverse of 34-7. In other words, the card is upside down. What is happening to this marriage? It's falling apart. The 16-7 speaks about, on one hand, divorce, separation, going our separate ways. Now, we do have this 31-4 at the start of the day, which in my opinion is not a good sign. So even in the 72 hours where she goes missing, Zoe, I'm not seeing numbers that tell me she's having an episode other than or an out of a usual episode. We do on the day see 777s, which means something is out of balance. But a lot of it is pointing to intimacy, closeness. Here's another not a good number. 42-6 is the opposite to family. 24-6, here's it here. In the day after the event, we see a 24-6, which speaks about family. 42-6 speaks about breaking of that family. Now, why would we see a hidden 33-6 here? So, if we're going to switch and change the optics to, let's say, for example, medicine. 49-13-4 here speaks about meds, and it actually speaks about, I would imagine there's quite a few meds to take, or a variety of meds that need to be taken, right? Meds. But this 49-13-4 also can speak about chronic medication. Now 31-4, something has gone wrong with the medication. Now, when you see a 50 outcome 5, now this is what I did first, these little notes here, which speaks about, could there have been an error with her dosage? Because 50, 50, outcome 5 speaks about, it almost speaks about like a toxic drug. On another hand, the 50 outcome 5 can even speak about illegal, illicit narcotics. So is there an issue with the medication and the dosage that has brought about the narrative as we know it today? Walking around at 8:30 in the morning. When we go into the +1, 44-8 hidden can bring around the concept of double dosage, which becomes poison, 51-6, we can say there's a medical poisoning that has taken place. So on one hand, I believe the medication had a role in playing what happened to her. Not necessarily what she was going through. I mean, I recall many years ago, I suffer from sinuses, right? And one particular year, many years ago, back in 93, I took a particular medication for sinuses. And it actually created a mild, I won't say acute, but at least a mild kind of psychosis episode. It was the wrong chemicals for me. And since then, I've obviously never taken that stuff again. Yeah, we have a similar situation. Right? But there's a 7-7 conflict here. Why would there be a 7-7 conflict here? Someone is not happy about something. So I'll repeat myself. When we find ourselves in these 5 days leading up to this event, these 3 days, December 27 to 29, and we're getting to 30 onwards, there's high emotions, high tension, high stress. Now, on the one hand, we can say yes, to keep it balanced, we say, yes, the husband is looking after, or the fiancé is looking after the 3 kids, while Zoe has been on medication or been away. He's got a lot on his plate as well, because his narrative, what I saw in the video, well, at the time she stepped out the door and disappeared, he had a choice to make. Does he attend to the child, or does he go and help Zoe come back home? Now, that for me is a terrible choice that is left in the hands of Zoe and the fiancé. Who was the safest at the time? Now, what I'm believing here is I'm seeing there's an issue with the medication that has caused this issue. Now, I'll also ask, because there's a hidden 44-8, I don't think the hospital would have double dosed her. There's a hidden 33-6, so something is not quite right. The day she goes missing, New Year's Eve, ends in a 14-5. We see a 5 the next day. There is bullshit in the air, unfortunately. And yes, we may see CCTV footage of her, but did the husband find her half an hour after that photograph? I'm saying I don't like the numbers. They don't match the natural, let's say natural dilemma Zoe would have found herself in. So when we do the 369, and I already originally done this, in fact I did this messaging yesterday, and today being December the 11th, I then concluded this chart that we're looking at now, including the 369. I was too tired last night to look at it. But +9 on the day after she goes missing. So in other words, New Year's Day. If you're seeing that there's a December 32 there, yes, there's no December 32. I've made it purple because we're doing an energy read. If I had to go to 1 January 2024, the numbers are very different unless, so I keep +1 in energy flow and the rest is all in energy. But interestingly, what we find in the +9 on the day after is a 60 outcome 6, and that speaks about poison. Now, when you get a 6-0, that is not necessarily, because now we're in the +9, all is revealed here, right? That is not necessarily a medical poisoning. That is a poisoning. I'll ask the question again. Could the fiancé sustain what was going on with Zoe. This was apparently the first time they found themselves in this situation, right? And there's responsibilities on both sides. But when something is too much, something is too much. Now, I'm going to stay in the +9 of the day. Now, this is the day she goes missing. Where we see in the reel, there's a 31-4. This can also speak about breakup of family. There's a lot of destruction going on here. Huh? There is a lot of destruction going on here. Marriage, people, emotions. It's chaotic. In the +9, we see a 40 outcome 4. In the +3, in the same position, we see 34-7. This is all about the marriage. And there's a 40 outcome 4, which is an outburst. Let me just see something here. So there's no 25-7. But when you're looking at something like 16-7, and yeah, we all out of sync 7s. So when a crime happens in a 7 year, there will be justice. Whether now in the physical or in spirit after, there will be justice. We've got a marriage conflict here and a divorce conflict. And when you have a 50 outcome 5, this is not good here. All these numbers are revealing itself in the +9 here. There's tremendous pressure on the system, on the family, on the couple, on the family. And unfortunately, these numbers in the +9, the day after, fall on the husband. The day things go down, there's a husband number, 40 outcome 4, 16-7 divorce, separation. And now that I'm looking at it now in the +9 on the actual day she goes missing, there's a lot of, all of these 5s are that can speak to illegal drugs as well. Eh? So I wonder if someone messed with her meds that caused this episode, and now we know, as we know the narrative today. And there are too many transactional numbers around here again, and we see numbers like the 44-8. Unfortunately, in my opinion, either, and I'll just say it for the sake of balance, either the hospital or doctor got the medication wrong, or someone tampered with her medication. In the +3, on the day that she goes missing, we see a 44-8. If she was in a state of mind as we know it, do you think she would have planned all of this herself? 44-8. So who planned it? The day before the actual event, 22-4, there's a plan in place. Who planned all of this? If Zoe was in the mind she was in, or as doctors, professional doctors say, she was having a whatever postpartum depression, would she be capable of planning, designing her escape from her home? I don't think so. I don't think so. And unfortunately, when I was putting out these numbers, there are other people that know about what happened to her. And I'm just looking for that number again. Where did I see it? It was a 38-11-2. Where are you? Yeah, it is, yeah. So in the +3, the intention, the day after, we see a hidden 3811-2. We see numbers like 4812-3. There are other people that know what happened to Zoe. And I would even go as far as to say the people that know what happened to her are within the first periphery. So I will just say, as a general overview on the 72-hour scan of leading up to events, there's something very wrong going on here. It has something to do with medication, but it also speaks about did someone tamper with her medication? And there's too many hidden numbers where we can say people have ulterior motives. She didn't plan it, 22-4. She didn't design the plan, 44-8, in my opinion. And in the +6, the day before she goes missing, look at all of these big transactional numbers here. Who would benefit? And the +6, on the morning she goes missing, we see a 37-10-1. This also then confirms 37-10-1 and the 38-11 and the 47-11. Let me be clear about this 38-11 too. The reason why this number is important. Because 3 is knowledge. Knowledge of what is happening with her. Now, when we talk about knowledge, it's intimate for family. Of course, the family would be aware of what's happening to her, but it's hidden. It's hidden. There's hidden things going on behind the scenes here. And the day before she goes missing, look at all of these big transactional, big money numbers. There's a big 37-10-1 in the start of the day she goes missing. And then she gets reported missing the day after. Here's another 38-11-2. Here's it here, 38-11-2. So in my opinion, something is not adding up here, and it's very close to home. Now, prepping these numbers, where is she? I'm just confirming. So I'm seeing that there's water and earth elements involved here. Water and earth. And I would even go as far as to say earth. More earth than water. Yeah. I would go more earth than water, but there is water around. So you might be looking for a water feature in the area, a large water feature, and around that we will find earth, and I believe we may find Zoe near or in earth near water. Close, let's see, close by, let me just see. I would say in fair proximity, yes. but definitely Earth, 22-4. 22-4. And on the day that she goes missing in the +6, we see a 20 outcome 2, which under normal circumstances would illustrate a water body. But also we have hidden 22-4, earthful. So in earth, near water, I would imagine close by, in a fair amount of proximity to her home. You know, when someone's in trouble, we need to get them appropriate help. And throwing your toys out the cot because you've got other responsibilities is not going to help matters at all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please give us your thoughts, your opinions. Let's hope, being in a 7-year, there will be justice one way or the other. And please stay safe, stay alert. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.